You're still on Joy News Desk with me, Benes Abu Bedu. Now, the worsening effects of climate change is creating hardship for many farmers across Ghana. Excessive sunshine and unmitigated rains continue to cost farmers their yields. Joy News' Justice Bedu has been to the northern regional town of Wulugu to find out why and what this means for food and security in the country's savannah belt.
A long walk. It's been over an hour on the road. I'm on my way to the farm of this man, John Banzali. He doesn't know what to expect. Upon reaching there, he is in shock.
I'm not
the only one affected by the floods. I couldn't harvest anything. A lot of people in Wulugu didn't harvest anything from their farms. So this dry season, there would be a lot of hunger. We can only rely on God. He sees beyond what human beings see. He's our helper.
This is it, the sheer level of devastation that extreme rainfall and unmitigated sunshine is having on farmlands. This 2.5 acre maize farm that is meant to be feeding a household of nearly 20 people has now been destroyed by the floods. And as the dry season looms here, only one thing remains on the minds of farmers: hunger and uncertainty. John is one of hundreds of farmers in Wulugu, a small town in the northern region, who are now counting their losses. Felling of trees here for fuel wood is a major economic activity. The effect of that has now reached alarming levels, exposing farmlands to the havoc of floods. In Wulugu, like many parts of northern Ghana, trees that are being cut go into activities like charcoal burning.
The forest that has been going down and down, it didn't start at this time. Far long. The time we were not even born, they were into this business, this charcoal business. And if you interview them, is the poverty and all things comes under. We have only one rainy season.
Ghana has lost a third of its forest cover in the last 2 decades alone. At the current rate of deforestation, with no clear government commitment to protect the country's forests, it may only get worse. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Wulugu.
Away from the northern part of Ghana, national service personnel expressed disappointment at government for not implementing the allowance increment promised by the then National Democratic Congress administration. In a statement, the personnel said they were optimistic and hopeful their January allowance was going to be 599 Ghana cedis, but they received 350 Ghana cedis. Maxwell Agbagba spoke to some of them.
Stephen Senyo Tetega. Stephen,
yeah,
before we come to the core, the crux of the issue, in fact, you were one of the lead petitioners, one of the people who were calling for an increment in the national, service allowance.
Yes.
Tell me, how difficult was it, getting Dr. Michael Kwesa-White, who was then in charge of NSS, to increase this amount?
Okay, so now we saw the need for an increment in national service allowance, and so we completed school for my batch from May, and so right from June we started calling for increase and not waiting to start service before we do so. And as the then national service personnel were also calling for increment, but they were about to end their service, so we saw the need to come in to do that follow-up. So we started strong advocacy for national service allowance increment right from June last year, and the response was that they are working on an increment and that would have to wait so that it takes effect from January. But we were starting in September, and then we were waiting for the increment to start in September. But what we kept hearing was that, well, government would have to planned that as part of the year, so it takes effect in January. So we would have to keep calm on that. So National Service Secretariat assured National Service personnel that allowance was going to increase in January. And so it was tough anyway, especially when we had not started service yet, and it appeared like, well, you've not even started service yet, and you are waiting and asking for National Service allowance to be increased. And so we had to be patient and wait for January for that to be made. And we were very excited when in January the announcement came out finally, because we were told that before allowance is increased, it has to go through some processes from National Service Secretariat to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to the Ministry of Finance and all that. So that was finalized, and then the announcement was made in December. Yes, but I have to clarify issues here to say that now the first quarter budget for 2017 that would be applying from January to March was drawn and announced by the then Finance Minister, Seth Tekpe, in October 2016. And as at then, they were still working on the increment, and the finality came somewhere after that was done. So it was still announced before that. And so we think that it's a matter of disrespect and disregard if the same amount comes in with no explanation, no communication, and no kind of concern or care from the National Service Secretariat or the government. And we think that, well, this is not about a government going or a government coming in. It's about the welfare of National Service personnel. And if you follow the trend, we've been receiving the same amount we are receiving now from the 2013-2014 academic year. So it's been about 3 years now. And of course, you'd agree with me that the cost of living keeps increasing. And the average National Service personnel is calling on government to effect this increase because we really need it. And it's not about, we believe that government comes to continue the good and then stop the bad. And so, yeah.
Now, you petitioned the National Service Secretariat some time ago. You went around, had interactions with some service personnel. Tell me, what was the common denominator regarding what they told you when you went around? We hear a lot of complaints about how they are living on the meager, salary of 350 cedis. What else did they mention to you during your rounds when you were collating the names and the numbers?
Okay, well, some of the revelations were very sad, especially that now with National Service, you can be posted anywhere at all. It means that you may be living in Wa and be posted to Accra. You may be living in Accra and be posted somewhere Bogatanga. And so the first thing, you have to search for accommodation yourself. That alone isn't easy, especially when people will not give you a room and allow you to wait and then pay at the end of the month. So the advances comes in, and a lot of us would have to transport ourselves from work each and every day, and that is very costly. Now, not mentioning the cost of transportation, cost of food. And so now some people are actually living on borrowed money, because they would have to borrow. When the allowance is paid, you pay. I know a lot of people who are borrowing to survive. And so we thought that this increment, although it will not solve all of our problems, would come as a relief to take off some of the burdens. And we've started and been living under this unfavorable condition from September. And we think that a new year should represent new hope from us, especially when we have a government committed to the welfare of service personnel. And
Thank you, Stephen. Good we have the president of the Greater Accra National Service Personnel Association here with us. Now, Kwejo, you issued a statement yesterday telling National Service personnel you were basically allaying their fears about what has happened. Tell me, what communication are you having with stakeholders? What are you doing to ensure that service personnel receive what is due them? That is a little over 500 cedis.
Thank you very much. As you rightly saw in our statement, we urged all National Service personnel to, as it were, remain calm as a leadership of NASPA engages stakeholders on the allowance increment. Now, you would recall that somewhere in the 9th of December 2016, there was news, or there was an approval by the Ministry of Finance with regards to allowance increments. And subsequent to that, we issued a release applauding the government and the people of Ghana for the increment that we had. And we also expressed some kind of confidence in the Nanado-led administration, hoping that governance is indeed a continuous process, and then the administration which was taken over from the Eswa Mahama administration was going to implement what had already been started by the Mahama administration.
Okay. Sorry to catch you, but I want to know, what are you doing, right now to ensure that service personnel get their money? So what exactly are you doing?
As we speak now, I have had some kind of conversation, phone conversation with some leadership of the scheme. And as we speak now, from here, I'm on my way to the secretariat to have some brief meetings with the leadership of the scheme to discuss and ask the very reason why the increment did not reflect in our accounts this month, January. Okay. And so as we speak now, on my way to the scheme, from there possibly I would go to the Ministry of Education, which has an oversight responsibility of the scheme, to meet the Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, to also ask him what it is that we have not had the increment that was approved somewhere last year.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so finally, can they get a message? Are you giving them any assurance that by the close of the day you get any explanations for them?
Yes, we are assuring all national service personnel, we are telling them to calm down, and that leadership of NASPA remains very resolute and committed in ensuring that whichever plight that they have is alleviated.
Okay, so Roland.
John Hughes is making attempts to reach the ministry and stakeholders of the scheme, and will bring you a response in our subsequent bulletins. Now, Member of Parliament for Sin Central, Kennedy Japan, has backed calls for an independent body to investigate bribery allegations against the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Now, in an interview with Joy News, the Member of Parliament advised the investigation body not to see parliamentarians as tin gods.
This is not the first time. Babin also accused Parliament. Yeah. And Ayariga and Co are also accusing. So please, go into it.
Are you saying that it happens as a practice in Parliament?
Go into it. The practice I know is that I won't lie. When you have a committee meeting, okay, for taking your time, if you are dealing with an agency, especially budget time, when they are going, they'll give you maybe 500,000 cedis for your transportation, your fuel and whatnot. Apart from that, going to demand money from somebody, well, me, Kennedy Japan, is not my star, and therefore I don't even, and you know what? Whatever happened here, I don't pay attention to them. Because now these small things to me that I don't even think about it. So I'm not privy to a lot of things. But as for, handouts like go and pay your fuel and all those things, yes, when at committees, when you invite or an agency takes you out of Parliament, they give you that. That I can defend it anytime.
But you've been a member of Parliament for some years now. I'm sure that you're, aware of the practice, especially when it comes to the vetting process. What we are told or being made to understand is that the nominees pay some amount of money as a thank you token to the committee. Is that so?
I am not aware, honestly. If I'm aware, I will criticize against it. They have to stop that. You see, now, whatever has transpired at the vetting committee or appointment committee is affecting the whole Parliament. The impression out there is that parliamentarians take money before they approve nominees, and that is wrong.
Okay. And there are concerns that Parliament can't do a good job of investigating itself. If you take a case in point, the background matter. Do you share those concerns?
Yes, I share that. So let an independent body investigate them. And they shouldn't be afraid of Parliament. They should do that.
I see. Independent body like Shraj?
Yeah, go ahead and do it. Yes, why not? Why should we make parliamentarians tin gods? I'm here criticizing the system. So if we are not doing the right thing, come on, get an independent body also to come and investigate Parliament. As simple as that.
Speaking on the Minister-designate for Gender's refusal to apologize for comments she made about the EC chair, Kennedy Japan said asking Otiko Afisa-Jaba to apologize is out of place.
Yeah, she refused to do it because it didn't come from her. So why are you asking her to retract? Why? They should come and ask me to retract. And I ask them questions. How many women did President Mahama appoint? And I did not say anything about them. Why is it that is this woman?
Are you saying you have evidence to that effect?
Of course, yes. Of course, they shouldn't even annoy me. And you see evidence that will come out.
So why do you make a claim without providing evidence?
And when I provide evidence, this same station, you don't want to take my evidence. You don't want to take my evidence. Let them dare me. Go and ask Mrs. Lodina if she was happy when the woman was appointed EC. Please, nobody should dare me because I don't lie. How many women were appointed by President Mahama and I did not say anything about them? So why are you asking Otiku? They should come and ask me. I'll give you evidence for them to see. Please, I'm not scared.
That was MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan. Now, let's go back to Parliament, where we know Lands and Forestry Minister-Designate Peter Amewu, Employment Minister-Designate Ignatius Bafwewa, and Works and Housing Minister-Designate Samuel Atachia are next to appear before Parliament's Appointments Committee. And my colleague Elton Brobe is on the line to give us a brief profile on who these three persons are. Hello, Elton. Good morning to you.
Bennett.
Hi, good morning, Elton.
Yes, good morning, Bennett.
Yes, what's the mood in Parliament now?
Well, the veteran has yet to start, so is the chamber. A while ago, the majority side moved out of the chamber. I'm sure they are having a purpose. So nothing is happening as we speak. We're just waiting for the speaker to come in, and then proceedings in the chamber will start. On the other side, I can see supporters of the ministers who've been nominated. You can see their supporters going into the new bloc. And what I'm yet to find out is whether the committee will have to suspend sitting and allow for proceedings in the chamber to come to an end before they can start eventing, because there are certain issues that will be touched on the floor which borders on the work of the Appointments Committee. But we are yet to be told as to the direction that it will take. But for now,
what are those issues precisely, Elton?
Now, and in the committee room, the Appointment Committee members are also yet to sit for the two events to start.
Now, Elton, you mentioned certain issues that will come up on the floor of Parliament. If you could help us with precision, what issues precisely are going to be dealt with?
Well, what I do know is that a formal petition asking the Speaker to probe into allegation of bribe has been, given to the Speaker of Parliament to take action on it. And indeed, yesterday, before the vetting will start, the chairman of the committee made some remarks regarding that particular issue, and even told the House that he wanted to suspend the vetting, as well as even call for a reconstitution of the Appointment Committee. But those two suggestions were rejected. That's how come yesterday the vetting took place.
All right. You can proceed, Elton.
Yes. So both leaders have all given their backing to their call for some kind of a probe into this allegation of bribe leveled against some members of the Appointment Committee and indeed the leadership. And we have been told that the Speaker will act on it and give directive as to how to resolve this particular issue. So that is why I'm saying that the members of the Appointment Committee, for example, may have to be in the chamber for that to happen. And then before they can move out for the vetting itself to start. But for now, the Speaker has yet to come in for that program to start.
So for our viewers, as you can see, we're receiving some live shots from the committee sitting, and they're yet to sit. But Elton, who is coming before the committee first? And if you could just tell us briefly about him.
From the schedule that we have, the first person to appear will be Peter Amewu, the current voter regional chairperson of the MPP, and he's been nominated for the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. And for those who know Peter Amewu, he's the chairman of the MPP in the voter region. He's the co-founder of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, and now the president has nominated him to the position of Lands and Natural Resources Minister. But his competence and suitability for the job is what members of the Appointment Committee are going to establish in the next hour or so. When he appears before the committee, he's going to be the first person to appear before the vetting committee. The second person will be the current member of Parliament for Sunyani West, Ignatius Bafwewa. He is in his fourth term in Parliament. Now, Mr. Bafwewa is a known face in Parliament, and indeed, in 2000, 2001, when President Kufuor assumed the mantle of leadership in this country, he appointed him as district chief executive for Sunyane, and later elevated him to deputy minister, and then deputy regional minister, and then deputy regional minister, and then regional minister for the Border Harford region. In Parliament, under his appointment, indeed, in the Seas Parliament, he was the deputy minority whip in Parliament. In this 7th Parliament, he's not occupying any leadership role, but he's been nominated to the position of Minister for Employment and Labour Relations. And he will be the second person to appear before the vetting committee for members to establish whether he qualifies and is competent for the job. The last person for today is a member of Parliament for Abuako South, Samuel Asachia, who is also nominated for water resources, who is also nominated for work and housing, because water resources has been taken out of the ministry. He's a known lawyer. Previously, he was on the Public Accounts Committee, and for now, he's been nominated for a work and housing minister. So these are the 3 individuals expected to appear before the Appointments Committee today.
Okay, so
as to when that will start, that is what we are unsure as of now. The majority members are in a caucus system. I don't know about the minority members in Parliament, but in the chamber and in the voting room, nothing is happening as of now. Dennis.
All right, thank you for those updates, Elton John Brobe, my colleague from Parliament. Apologies about the earlier list we read to you about those who would appear before the Appointments Committee. So now we know that Lands and Forestry Minister Designate John Peter Amewu will appear before the House first, and that is followed by Ignatius Bafor Ewa, who is Minister Designate for Works and for Employment, and for Works and Housing is Minister Designate Samuel Atachia. These are the 3 persons who would appear before Parliament's Appointments Committee. Sorry once again about the earlier list we read to you. It's now time for business, and Emmanuel Abajiriafe is standing by.